What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another Sorare scouting video today. Today we'll be looking at the La Liga and trying to pick out 10 cheap beasts for Sorare next season. If you guys are enjoying the content, please show me by leaving a like, subscribe if you're new. Let's get into the beasts for today. So, before we dive into the La Liga today, I want to give a massive shout out to ABX99, who was the league expert who helped me create this video today. Of course, in all of these scouting videos, it's an accumulation of myself and the league expert working together to get the 10 best guys we can think of for you guys. And of course, if you guys are interested in investing into the Liga, I highly recommend you click the link in the description to ABX's page and obviously follow him on Twitter. And he has a fantastic Discord where pretty much you can just get updates on suspensions, news, that sort of thing, and it's always good to stay in the loop. That's what I like to call it, as being in the room, being present. That's what all good coaches and managers will tell you. You got to be in the room, and sometimes you just get information just for being there. You know, you might not necessarily need to speak or be the most vocal or doing the most, but as long as you're in the room, then that always helps. So yeah, I highly recommend, if you need any advice La Liga, go to ABX99 and or myself, get some advice. And of course this video will help you guys with 10 players who I think are going to succeed next season in La Liga. With that being said, of course we had to kick off the video today with Alex Baena, my favourite Spanish player at the moment, and he had to be in the video today. And I'm sure most of you guys that follow this channel for a while will know that Alex Baena was always going to be in this video. For those of you guys that don't know, Baena, very versatile midfielder. I believe he finished second in assists last season, playing for Villarreal. He can play off the left, play through the middle. Fantastic baller, and he is actually, I think he's confirmed now, yeah, to go to Athletico Madrid. So yeah, I just see this boy's future being fantastic. And on top of all of that, and this is something I will say in all of my scouting videos, guys, is that if you're unsure about a player, look at their national status. Now, Baena, he has managed to get into Spain's first team. That's how you know he is a good player. And I don't need to go on, I don't need to go too crazy on Baena, because I know a lot of people probably know him by now. And maybe he won't be cheap next season, but I had to include him because he's my boy. So yeah, I will say as well, guys, for all 10 names, I highly recommend you guys go into the player's page, maybe if you haven't heard of them before, because look, there's 10 names, you're going to know some of them, you might not know some of them, but of course if you're an expert then you'll know all of them, of course. But yeah, I recommend following the player page, and what this will do, guys, so once you hit the follow, if you go to your scouting tab on Sorare, you should be able to pop up into sort of a my favorites sort of tab, and you'll see the players here. So I highly recommend for all the video, or for the video today, if you open up your little Sorare tab and you go to the scouting center. The UI might look a bit different by the time it comes around to the season, but you go to scout, you find the player, add him to your list, or favorite him, and then you'll have a nice little a watch list of the players in the video today. Budimir is going to be my second recommendation for La Liga. He finished third in the top goal scorer last season with 21 goals behind Mbappe and Lewandowski, and he does play for Osasuna. He is their penalty taker, so that's always a big thing in Sorare, as you guys know. And he is definitely double decisive capable, which is what you want in your strikers. You want them to be hitting them spiky scores. With that being said, he is a striker, so bear in mind, guys, his AA might not be as good as, say, a winger perhaps, so perhaps you'll want to go for a winger option. But Budimir is a fantastic player for Osasuna, and Osasuna will be pushing for European spots next season, so he's going to have to be right there again, up there, if they are to do that. Obviously, his aged on a little bit, but he's kind of like one of them players that's getting better with age, and of course plays for his national team as well. ABX said to me that he thinks he's going to be a good cheap option with a big score potential. Obviously, he can get an assist here or there as well, on top of being the penalty taker. So me and him believe Budimir is going to be a great option, and definitely one you guys should at least, drop a follow on. Maybe have a little look at prices when the season starts, and if he looks to be one of the cheaper forwards, maybe he could be a good one to purchase. Another Villarreal man is my next recommendation, and it is a Yeremy Pino. Of course, unfortunately, Baena is leaving him this time around. However, I think that opens the opportunity and opens the door even more for Yeremy Pino next season, and hopefully he can develop and carry on progressing as well as he was before he got injured. So for those of you guys that don't know, he had a massive injury and sort of his last year was his comeback year, and he did still do fantastically. On top of performing well for his club, he did actually get a call up back to Spain's team along with Baena. However, I feel like he was a bit overshadowed by Baena, and that is why I think I had to include Pino in this video, because if Baena is perhaps too expensive or is overhyped this season, I think Yeremy Pino has a fantastic opportunity now to essentially do what Baena done last season, this season. He definitely has all of the criteria to do so, being called into the Spain setup, quite a young player. Of course, he was developing fantastically before a big injury. He's come back, he still looks like to be a top player. And I have some notes here what ABX has said about Yeremy Pino. He said he got 4 goals last season, 7 assists in 34 games, so he played quite a lot. Recalled for his national team, and had regular chance created with 91%, and he plays on the wing with a 77% pass accuracy. So he is I guess in Spain, what the football's like there. Lots of passing, very intricate, and no doubt he'll have some great AA. So remember, hit the follow button for Yeremy Pino, and let's see if he can have as good of a season as Alex Baena did this year. We watched this man do it in the Premier League for Leicester. He even done it a little bit for Newcastle. It's Ayoze Perez, another Villarreal man, and this man is I just loved watching him in the Premier League, and that's why I had to include him in this video today, because not only do I really like this football player Ayoze Perez, but I think he is going to definitely be a cheap beast going into next season. He is one of them players that sort of, he is obviously a forward player, but he just creates so many great chances. Dribbling is fantastic, and he's one of them players that fits perfectly into the manager's system and the way they want to play. So I see him playing a lot of first team football next season, and he could be one that really just shines and excels to a new level. He did pick up a couple of small injuries this season. However, again, another one that's playing for the national team. ABX here has said that he has a 98, which is crazy, 98% chance creation for Villarreal and an 88% for Spain. So you can tell he is very good at creating opportunities. It just needs to hope that his teammates go on and score them. He scored 19 goals, 2 assists this season, so you can tell, scoring a lot, and this is only in 30 games as well, so that's nearly a decisive every game, which is what you want in your attackers, of course, guys, and especially in our Sorare lineup. So yeah, this one is definitely going to be a good pickup, and another yellow submarine man added to our follow list, and let's pray that the Villarreal boys do as good as I'm tipping them to do. We move away from our yellow submarines and we go to a Romanian in La Liga, and I'm going to attempt to pronounce his name, but I might butcher a little bit here, but Andrei Ratiu? Let's just pretend I pronounced that correctly, guys. Let's just pretend I did. He is up next, and he is well renowned to actually be one of the best defenders in the league. So much so that Barcelona are currently scouting him, and by the time this video goes out, who knows, he could have got his move, but as things stand, he is still at Rayo Vallecano, and you can see he's a pretty consistent scorer for them. And the thing I love the most about Ratiu, or however you say his name, I'm sorry, and this is something that ABX did actually point out to me, is that he's obviously played a lot of football, well, I say a lot of football, he's played a lot of minutes, should I say, under the belt this season, of course, and he actually only has one yellow card, which I thought is quite impressive, especially for a defender. Usually, you're seeing that defenders drop scores because they're picking up a lot of disciplinary bookings and things like that. And especially playing for a club like Rayo Vallecano, who aren't exactly the best in the league. My thought process here is if he does manage to get a move to perhaps a little bit better of a side, then he could be a very good one. I feel like this is going to be a suggestion that might be a bit hit or miss, but definitely one to follow, guys. And if he, yeah, again, one of them that definitely have a little look at the price, could be one of those that perhaps people are overlooking, and could be one that definitely overperforms or hits that high potential ceiling. ABX also did say that he has an 87% pass accuracy this season, 2 goals and 3 assists. So, he's definitely doing his job in the defender role position for his team. Halfway through our list now, it's developing nicely, and up next we have a bit of a risky one, and it is going to be Hugo Duro? Hopefully I said that right. Like I said, not the best with names. However, this man just, yeah, I think his graph really just tells the story of this type of card. If he stays fit, he looks like he's going to be a very good player. You can see a lot of goals here, including a winner against Real Madrid off the bench. And yeah, I think just one of those strikers, perhaps, again, that just maybe struggling to stay fit, especially at the back end of the season. But when he does stay fit, he looks to be a real problem. And this is why I think he could definitely be a cheap beast next season, because if he does manage to stay fit, he is without a shadow of a doubt going to be worth more than his price reflects, because I feel like his injuries will reflect in his price quite a lot. Of course, remember, guys, as well, this guy is 25, so he is, still got a long football career ahead of him. He's quite like a tall, aerial type striker. You want to get the ball out to him. He'll win a lot of aerial duels. And yeah, the main thing for this man is he needs to stay fit. However, I think his price will massively sort of reflect, hopefully, on the fact that he struggles to stay fit. So hopefully, he'll be nice and cheap going into next season, and we can all pick up a Hugo Dario or Duro. Oh my god, Duro. Sorry, and hopefully he does well. Up next, we have a bit of an experimental shout, and you guys know in nearly all of my videos, I do have a player in there that's maybe a bit of a rogue one, an unlikely one, but the price, like I said, will reflect in that. This is cheap beast for a reason. Up next, we have Juan Cruz, who, don't get me wrong, I think is it's going to be interesting to see. Now, for those of you guys that might watch Premier League football or just another league, for example, I would relate this guy heavily to someone that, effectively, he's someone that played on a not the best team. I mean, he was playing with Lagunas and they got relegated, but he looks like he is going to be moving to Rayo Vallecano, who are obviously a lot better of a side, and it looks like he's one of them, like, what's the right word, like a bright light in a terrible team, if that makes sense. So there is potential that now he gets, when he gets his move to a better team, maybe we could start to see him sort of accelerating and doing better. He done really well actually in a Copa del Rey match from so ABX said that he actually got MVP, wow, against Real Madrid in the Copa del Rey and had a fantastic game. And in general, ABX says he's pretty much a wing player who's very, very quick, great at dribbling, and of course, if let's just say he moves to a better side, hopefully in training and things like that, they can develop him a bit more, maybe make him a bit better, and really utilise his strengths to, the best of his abilities and make sure he's playing in a role where he can get the most out of him, if that makes sense. So yeah, you can see there is definitely potential there. He's got a couple of games here that are quite, spiky 70 odds, but majority of them being in the 30s and 40s, which is the reason why I think his price will be low. So it's definitely one to sort of keep an eye on at least. And I would say potentially might be a weirdly one to buy into the hype, if that makes sense. So obviously you always want to beat the hype in Sorare, but maybe if we follow him, guys, and then we see like he does has one really good game or something, then we buy him all quick, and then hopefully he just carries on the same road to success. Up next, we have a pretty interesting one, and I'm going to be excited to see how this one develops. Now, Eric Garcia, do not underestimate his role at Barcelona. I think he could be the type of player that you want to have in your side where it's like, okay, maybe you can't afford, the best Barcelona players like a Pedri, but he could be one of those that's like, okay, you can get a piece in a fantastic team, and he might give you the really good score here or there type of player. So don't get me wrong, you would definitely have to have someone to rotate with Eric Garcia, but on his given game week, I think he could be a fantastic one, and I'm hoping that he's not going to be too crazily priced because he's not exactly like your insane defenders or whatever, like Inago Martin or whatever. He's not going to be like Pau Cabrasi kind of level, like playing every week, but Eric Garcia, fantastic player, of course. Used to play for Girona, I believe, and he was great for them. So do not underestimate Eric Garcia and his abilities at Barcelona. And you can see back end of the season, he's performing fantastically for them. And yeah, don't get me wrong, he is not exactly nailed in the starting 11 by the looks of things, obviously coming off the bench quite heavily during this period of time, but in the back end of the season, some fantastic scores, and playing for a club like Barcelona, I don't think is too much of a risk to get someone like this. Don't get me wrong, like I said, he might not play every single week, so you would have to get someone that rotates with him, but could potentially be a cheap piece in a Barcelona side. So can't really go too wrong with that. We'll drop him a follow. Up next is Alejandro Balde. Now, don't get me wrong, this one might be a bit expensive, but I did want to throw in one where it's like, I guess price is sort of relative, in the sense that I feel like he will be undervalued or underpriced no matter what at the start of the season. I feel like he's just going to be one of the best defenders. It like when you look back on a season and you say, okay, you had to have this defender to be hitting podiums. I feel like Balde is going to be that man. So whatever price he is, he might be a bit expensive, probably one of the most expensive on the list here today. But I did want to throw it in there. Don't worry, guys, I will throw in a couple of honourable mentions as well, so he doesn't take up a slot here. And I don't want to talk too much about Balde because you guys know he's one of the best fullbacks in the world for sure. Now I will say, obviously, he had a bit of an injury issue, but he looks like he's recovered from it now, and I think he's going to be a phenomenal one going into next season, so I had to include him in the video today. And another honourable mention, Dani Olmo, again, probably going to be very expensive, guys, but I think he's going to be one of the best midfielders in the league, so I had to include him in the video. Maybe not quite a cheap beast, if you like, but again, relative, because if you're watching this and you want to hit podiums in Sorare, you're going to need like the players like Balde and Olmo to do so. So I kind of wanted to make sure I get both ends, I guess, of the audience that might watch this video. Of course, some of the suggestions in this video today have been like kind of bottom of the barrel, like very cheap players, maybe people that are trying to aim to just get in the top 50 or top 20, like the lower tier kind of rewards for very cheap. But alternatively, there could be managers in here that watch this video that want to hit podiums, so you're going to have to go for players like Balde, Olmo, Baena, players that might cost a little bit more, but I still feel like relative to the competition, they will be cheap. And you already know I had to include another yellow submarine. That is Sergi Cardona. Now, I think he's been one of my favourite fullbacks this year, and I think he's he's a great AA scorer on top of the opportunity of also getting DAs, as you can see here. Some fantastic scores from him this season, and ABX here has said pretty much he can't believe how cheap he is. For how good of a player you're getting. Of course, prices could be a bit different when the season starts. But yeah, he said here ABX he had four DMPs because of suspension, but he's a very important player and averages a score of pretty much 50, which is pretty good. And he said he's like 90% to play pretty much most games. The only games he misses, like I said, is the ones through suspension. So a very good fullback and hopefully very cheap. Another honourable mention for a man who just seems to be playing week in and week out, and that is always a good thing for these players in Sorare. If you can have a player in your gallery that just consistently plays week in, week out, you don't have to worry about them potentially being swapped around. Again, this could be someone that is good to have alongside, like an Eric Garcia, where you have him, he's the man, he's gonna play, and then you could throw Eric Garcia in there every now and then if you think Garcia is going to be playing for Barcelona. But yeah, up next is Alejandro Catena, who pretty much averages about 60 or so. Is a centre back that doesn't miss many games at all, and usually if he's missing them is because of a suspension. So yeah, I think a very good man to have in the gallery, especially say if you've got say if you're taking risks on some injury-prone players. It could be good to have a player that's consistently playing like this, and again, a defender, very cheap. So yeah, add this man to have a little look at. Definitely one that might not be getting you on the podium per se, although you can see some of the scores here, 95, 92, that'll definitely get you there. But yeah, generally speaking, a man that might not get you on the podium, but he's going to be there for you every single week. Last but not least, it's an honourable mention, and I think I might have mentioned this man in an under 23 video already, but I have to mention him again because maybe you missed that video. But yeah, this is Aimar, and he's going to be a very interesting player to watch next season, and I definitely do think he will be cheap. And you can see he's actually started to take some set pieces for the side. And ABX here said he started 13, scored 3, and got 3 assists, and took 4 set pieces. One of the best players apparently for Osasuna, and of course he's under 23, so has loads of time to develop and become better. So yeah, Aimar is definitely one to watch out for in the future, and he's going to be our last name to go on our list today. So here we have it then, guys. Here is our list of players. Here is our cheap beast. There's about 12 or so there for you guys to follow along. Of course, in the video today, I do want to just reiterate a massive shout out to ABX who helped us with the video. So if you guys could go and show him some support by dropping him a follow or joining his Discord, that would be greatly appreciated. Say, you can say you come from Flindle's channel or whatever, and wanted some advice maybe for him. And I will say as well, if you guys have any sort of La Liga cheap beasts yourself that you think will do well next season, drop them on this video, comment on the video here today, and we can maybe go back and look at the end of the season and see maybe you guys commented a guy that just popped off and you had a great shout and you've left it in the comments, and we can all see, we'd be like, oh, that guy, he knows ball going into next year. So yeah, leave the comments down below, let me know who you think's going to be a cheap beast going into next season. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video today, and it was really fun making. I really enjoyed like just scouting La Liga, spending a couple of hours here really dissecting the stats and all that good thing. If you guys have enjoyed, then please do remember to leave a like, subscribe if you're new. We'll catch you guys in a future video. Peace.